Right, welcome to this video where we're going to be comparing all the changes in the Tesla Model 3 made in China 2021 Model 3 compared to my 2019 Model 3. This is the long range version, which means it's got the full premium interior, so we've got the heated steering wheel, and it's the best car to look at all the alterations that have been made in this latest version. There was a lot of changes that I've picked up on, surprisingly so actually, so I'm going to be going through them at quite a pace, including the very end where I'll do a like-for-like comparison journey with the Tesla Model 3 made in China, which has got the heat pump, which should improve efficiency, versus my 2019 model, to see whether it actually makes any difference. So the first thing you're going to notice is the fact that the chrome has gone, it's been chrome deleted, and we're now left with a matte black finish on the majority of the trim. So you've got it on the door handles, under the wing mirrors, the door sills have got a black trim now instead of the chrome. So on this standard white paint that you get with the car, the contrast works really well, especially with the panoramic roof as well, and then the black aero wheels. Talking of the aero wheels, they have been updated as well. I'm guessing for aerodynamics, not 100% sure. When I did the video on the aero wheels recently, I only found that they made 2% difference in cold climates. So it'd be interesting to see whether they make any difference long term. But I actually prefer this look. I think they work really well. Going underneath the car, the mud flaps, these were fitted when the car actually came. You've probably seen my video on the mud flaps. They gathered loads of mud and effectively just got blocked up. Well, Tesla tried to rectify this. Underneath there now, you've got some rectangles, so the drainage holes are a lot bigger. If you own the older versions, don't worry, I just drilled massive holes in mine and that seems to do the trick, so you can do that. But yeah, Tesla have addressed that as well. So we'll pop the frunk. You'll see it's still not powered, unfortunately. The cheek of it, I have to lift it with my hands. Inside, you probably won't notice it visually, but it is slightly narrower at this section here. The rubber part is exactly the same, still 69 centimeters. This is now 46 centimeters apart, as opposed to 46, which is in the older Tesla Model 3. Depth of it's still the same. The reason this bit is a bit thicker is to hide the heat pump. That's apparently where that's hidden in there. So yeah, that's why that's a little bit smaller, but you're not really going to notice much of a difference there. I think the quality of the bonnet is actually a little bit better as well. Mine feels really thin whenever I close that. That just felt a little bit firmer and less like you're going to put your hands through it, which is good. Looking at the front as well, you've got slightly different looking headlights. Again, you're not going to notice unless you're staring really closely at it. They're LED matrix headlights now, which apparently in the future are going to be software controlled, so hopefully will stop dazzling other drivers as you go around. Right, moving around to the back of the car, we've got the trunk, which is now, sorry, boot, we're in the UK, which is now thankfully power assisted. So you can open it on the app just by pressing the button and it will go up. Obviously on mine I've fitted the different boot struts, so that will pop up on its own, but it's not power assisted so it won't come down. But now if I wanted to, I can just close the trunk through the app. There's also a button just on the inside that you can close it, so that's a much better feature. We'll open it once more, just because we can. The other thing they've added on the boot is they've increased the boot lip here. Common complaint from car reviews on the previous Model 3 was as you open the boot, all the rain tipped off the boot, fell onto the back window and then poured over into your boot. They've extended this lip now so it doesn't do that anymore, which is pretty good. And then you just push this button and the boot will close. Looking around the car, another common complaint was panel gaps. Now this Model 3 that we've got here looks pretty decent, to be honest. You look around, they're evenly spread, there's no massive differences, and the general consensus coming out of all the made in China Tesla Model 3s is the overall quality of the car is a lot better compared to the panel gaps that you've seen on, and you've all pointed out on my videos when I've put a dodgy camera angle on. This Model 3 is actually a lot better from that point of view. The other big question was about the paint. Now, I used a really cheap tool from Amazon that didn't really do the job to measure the paint depth. All I could see was it was pretty much similar to mine. Now, I've done more research on this and effectively discovered that the paint on this is the same thickness as all the previous Tesla Model 3s. The difference is the paint quality and the imperfections. It's a lot better and more improved. So you're less likely to get stone chips, because in the past you'd always get stone chips around this area here, whereas now you're not going to get that. There's less imperfections. It's the curing process is improved, and this is something that Elon Musk has talked about, how they're trying to improve their paint process. So from what I can read on all the car detailing forums and things like that, the paint quality is a lot better. And I have to say, if you're sitting on the fence about choosing a white Tesla Model 3, go for it. In the sunlight, this paint looks awesome. And as I said already, the contrast is fantastic. So I think that pretty much covers all the changes on the outside. Let's have a look at all the ones on the inside. Right, I'm glad I'm inside because it was getting a bit cold and wet out there. The first thing you will notice in the Made in China Tesla Model 3 when you get in it is the door cards have changed. And what they've done, they've extended the wooden trim that initially went across the dashboard down the sides of the doors. Much needed in my opinion, because I've always felt that the wooden dash just felt a little bit out of place. There was no other reference to it in the car. And I ended up buying actually a wireless phone charger, which I've put the link in the description if you want to see where I got that from, that had the wooden effect dash. And I think that just complemented it really well. And it needed another reference. So now they've put this down the door, works a lot better. They probably got the hint that everyone pretty much just wrapped the wooden panel to more of a black effect because it fitted more in with the car. Now, staying on focus on the door for a second, they've changed the material on the speaker to a metal material now on the outside. So I'm guessing that offers a little bit better protection because I suppose you might knock that with your feet as you get in and out of the car. Now, a huge update that was needed, even though it was really tiny and didn't cost them much, was the fact they've now put a logo on the exit of the door so you can actually figure out how to get out. Obviously, as an owner, I know how to get in my car, and my friends that come in my car quite often, they know how to get out, but any new people in the car just couldn't get out. All it had was a button with a line on it. So people thought it was the windows, or they actually used the windows to try and get out. Now it's got a little icon which has a door opening on it. Massive. People can finally get out of a Tesla Model 3, which is brilliant. What I like, all the features that they've put in this car, it looks like they've just listened to the owners and made all the tweaks, which is perfect. Talking about the speaker, by the way, on the back door panel, it's now a circular grille as opposed to a rectangle. So not quite sure what the rationale for that change was. If anyone knows, let us know in the comments below. But yeah, that's the only features on the door. Now moving across, the big change, they've removed all piano black, which is brilliant because it was a scratch magnet. In the center console, this is the same as the 2021 Model 3 that was made in Fremont. So this isn't a unique to the Made in China version, but they've completely redesigned the center console. Gone are what some people said were difficult to close hatches and doors, where if you close them gently, they close fine. But in a lot of the car reviews, people close them a bit too firm and then they'd pop straight back up. So all of those have absolutely gone now. What it's been replaced with is a lovely soft felt wireless phone charger that comes as standard, so you don't have to option that. Really nice material. I might just sit here and stroke this for a while. Can charge 2 phones. I'm not quite sure what rate it charges at. I'm going to guess at 10 watts per phone, whereas the latest iPhone can charge up to 15 watts. And then the main compartment is covered now by this lovely slidey door, and it's very satisfying to open and close. It's automatic to close. You could do that for a long time. And as I said, the piano black has gone, and it's kind of like this satin grey effect on the top there, which works really well. So love that. Inside there used to be 2 USB-A ports, so for your standard USB. And that's also where you stored your SentryCam footage. Downside of that is someone could break in, grab your USB stick and do away with it, so you lost all the footage. That has been now moved into the glove box, which is secure because you can only access that through the screen, and you can put a pin to access on it as well. So that's secured the SentryCam footage, perfect, and also leaves those USB ports under there available. And as I said, they've moved to USB-C ports now, which means better power delivery. So if you do want to charge any of your devices when you're on the go, you can plug those in there and they should charge a little bit quicker. And then similarly in the back, they've changed to USB-C as well. So that's all the changes in there. You've still got the 12 volt cigarette lighter socket in that section there. That hasn't moved at all, and that part looks pretty much the same. So moving up from the center console, and we've got the hazard light button has now been made a lot bigger, and the SOS button has been moved onto the screen. So at least if you need your hazard warning lights when you're driving in a rush, you can just kind of reach around there, especially if you can't like take your eyes off the road, and just push it and not worry too much about pushing the SOS button. Not quite sure what happens if you crash and smash a screen, because then you can't press the SOS button. Moving along, we've got this sun visor, which is now a magnetic rather than specifically clipping in, but the mirror is still the same with a light that comes on as you flap that down, so that's good. And then coming across to the steering wheel, slightly redesigned fabric layout on the steering wheel. The stitching is now at the bottom, But the big, huge improvement, which I know the owner of this Model 3 has been using a lot, especially with this cold snap we've been having, is the heated steering wheel. Now, I don't think it comes as standard on the Standard Range Plus, but it does with the premium interior on the long range and the performance Model 3s. But yeah, heated steering wheel, which you can turn on through the app, through the touchscreen as well. And then the scroll wheels have been updated slightly. I'm not quite sure, again, the rationale for that. If you know the reason why, let me know. But they've got a slightly different material on them and a slightly different contrasting. It's almost like the satin grey with a grid system on there. So yeah, not quite sure because I never had any issues with the previous scrolly wheels. But other than that, the rest of the steering wheel layout is exactly the same. Talking about heating, we've got a heated steering wheel. The other thing that might improve the heating is the fact that we've now got double glazing on this window. I'm guessing it was more to remove wind noise as opposed to keep the heat in the car, because obviously the rest of the panels aren't double glazed. But from my video that looked at like reducing noise in your Tesla Model 3's cabin, in the UK at least, I think our road surfaces are so bad that its majority is road noise as opposed to wind noise, because the noise reduction kits that I put on the Tesla Model 3 didn't really change the decibels in the cabin at all. Oh, the tone maybe a little bit, but nothing substantial. So it might stop the noise of lorries that you're overtaking coming through the window a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make a massive difference to the volume of the cabin. But as I said, it might help keep some of the heat in if you've got double glazing, but it's not in the back windows at all. So it's free, it's an improvement, not going to knock it, but I don't think it'll make a massive difference overall. And then I suppose I should talk about the seats, because I think they're more comfortable. Now, it might be that my 18-month Tesla Model 3 is just got wear and tear, because I've obviously sat in it to a lot of filming and done a reasonable amount of miles. But even seeing in the passenger seat, which hasn't had much use in my car, felt better. And I know from watching a few interviews with Elon, they really focused on making the seats as comfortable as possible. They've looked at all the pressure points in the seats and they're custom designed. So it makes me think they might have subtly improved the seats in the made in China Tesla Model 3. But overall, the general quality when I got in this car, I was properly excited because it all feels just more solid. I can't put my finger on it, but this just feels well put together, like a proper premium interior in here. Now, the last thing that we wanted to compare was the heat pump, because the Model Y's had a heat pump for a while, and the idea is that it doesn't use full electric heaters to heat the cabin, and it uses some other heat that gets generated in the car and brings it in that way, so you should get better range and efficiency. This Model 3 has it, and that's why the frunk is slightly smaller in width. Does it make a difference or not? To test it, we did exactly the same journey, exactly the same time. I just basically followed in front of this long range version, and it was just above freezing. I think it was like 2 degrees. We had the heating set on the same setting. I think it was 23 degrees. We didn't have heated seats on. We had the lights on the same setting. Tire pressures, they'd both started from a cold start, so the regen braking was exactly the same. They were identical, except the fact one is a long range, one is a standard range plus, and there is some differences in efficiencies with that. And then obviously this version had the heat pump. What we found consistently throughout that entire journey, it was a 35-minute journey, was there was a 30 watt hour per mile difference throughout the whole journey. So overall it averaged, the long range version averaged 270 watts per mile, whereas the standard range plus averaged 300 watt hours per mile. That equates to 124 mpge, mpg equivalent for the long range version versus 112 mpge for the standard range plus. To put it another way, if you were to use 10 kilowatt hours of electricity, this version would go 37 miles, whereas the standard range plus would go 33.7 miles. So not massive difference, but an improvement, and it's better than nothing. And I imagine in even colder climates, that's going to really come into its own and save you a lot more energy. We then did exactly the same run in 12 degrees, just because we did it on different days, and we found that it was a 20 watt hour difference overall. So the heat pump definitely plays a role in reducing the energy that's used when you're using the heating system. So yeah, again, another improvement. The other thing that I forgot to mention is the Boombox. Has it come with a Boombox? I think the answer is no, unfortunately. I've looked underneath and the grill is there, and I shone my camera in there and I couldn't see that there was a speaker underneath. So it looks like it's got the grill, but without taking it all apart, which I'm not going to do because it's not my car, I don't think there's a speaker under there. I have no idea why. I thought it was meant to be law from June 2020 that all new models came with one, but Doesn't seem like it's got one for some reason. So that's all for this week. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are. Did Tesla miss anything? Have I missed anything that Tesla introduced that I haven't covered? I've also put the referral code in the description below. So if you're buying a Tesla Model 3, don't forget to use the referral code. It's actually the owner of this Model 3's referral code. So you get 1,000 free Supercharger miles, and so will he if you use it. Don't forget to subscribe if you like videos to do with Tesla, because that's what this channel is all about. And if you enjoyed that, a thumbs up wouldn't go amiss as well. Thanks for watching. I will see you again soon.